On my birthday, I waited all day for just a call from my parents. But when the phone finally rang, it wasn't for me, and that was the moment I realized love feels heaviest. When the people crave it from forget exist. My name is Marcus, and I'm about to tell how I destroyed everything good in my on what should have been the happiest day of the year. It was my 32nd birthday. Sarah had already left for work, kissing my forehead and whispering, "Happy birthday, baby," before slipping out at 6 a.m. She'd promised dinner at our favorite place, said she had something special planned. But all I could think about was the silence. My phone sat there like a dead weight on the nightstand. 7 a.m. became 8. Then 9. Then nothing. No calls. No texts. No happy birthday, son, from the people who brought me into this world. Sarah texted around lunch, "Can't wait to celebrate tonight. Love endlessly." But her love felt hollow when the love I'd been craving since childhood remained locked away, unreachable. Like trying to hold water in cupped hands. Have to understand something about my parents. They remember my sister's birthday every year. They remember her kids' birthdays. They fly across the country for her graduation, her promotion, her new house. But me, I'm the afterthought, the backup son. The one who gets a, "oh, right, happy belated" text 3 days later if I'm lucky. By 3 p.m. I was sitting in my car outside the coffee shop near work, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. 32 years old and still waiting for mommy and daddy to notice I exist. That's when Emma walked by. Emma from accounting. Emma who always smiled when she saw me. Emma who'd been divorced for 6 months and kept finding excuses to stop by my desk. Emma who looked at me like I mattered. I rolled down the window. "Hey Emma," she turned, face lighting. "Marcus, what are doing sitting out here?" "It's my birthday," I said, and I don't know why I said it. Maybe I needed anyone to acknowledge it. "Birthday? That's amazing. Are celebrating. Sarah and I are doing dinner later." But I shrugged. Honestly, it's been a pretty quiet day. Emma's expression softened. She had this way of looking at like she could see right through to the parts. "That sounds lonely." And that word hit me like a punch to the chest. Lonely. Yes, that's exactly what I was. "Want to grab coffee, just for a few minutes?" Emma asked. Everyone deserves to feel special on their birthday. I should have said no. I should have driven home, waited for Sarah, focused on the woman who actually loved me enough to plan a special evening. But Emma was offering what my parents never did: immediate attention, immediate care, immediate validation that I mattered. "Sure," I heard say. "Just coffee." Just coffee turned into an hour of Emma listening to me talk about feeling invisible, about growing second best, about the ache of waiting for love that never comes. She hung on every word like I was the most interesting person alive. When she reached across the table and touched my hand, I didn't pull away. When she said, "Deserve so much better than people who don't see worth," I believed her. When she suggested we go somewhere more private to continue talking, I followed. The hotel room was quiet except for the sound of my wedding ring hitting the nightstand. As I set it down, my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Just picked cake. Can't wait to see face tonight. We're gonna love surprise." I stared at that message for a long moment. Sarah who remembered. Sarah who cared. Sarah who was probably rushing around right now making sure my birthday was perfect, while I was about to throw it all away for someone who noticed me for 5 minutes. I looked at Emma, already making herself comfortable, looking at me expectantly. I could still leave. I could grab my ring, walk out, go home to the woman who actually loved me, and pretend this never happened. Instead, I turned off my phone. Because in that moment, the validation felt more important than the vows. The attention felt more necessary than the trust. The temporary high of being wanted felt more valuable than the permanent love I already had. I made my choice. And exactly 4 hours later, when I walked through my front door to find Sarah surrounded by all my friends, a homemade cake on the counter, and a surprise party she'd spent weeks planning, I realized I just traded everything real for something that evaporated the moment it was over. The worst part. My phone had 17 missed calls. My parents had been trying to reach me all day to tell me they were flying in to surprise me for my birthday. They'd been at the airport since noon, trying to coordinate with Sarah for the perfect surprise. They'd remembered. They'd cared. They'd moved heaven and earth to be there. And I'd thrown it all away because I was too broken to wait 3 more hours to find out. The surprise party was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Sarah had invited everyone I cared about. My college roommate flew in from Portland. My work friends were there. Even my neighbor who always complained about my music showed with a bottle of whiskey and a grudging smile. And my parents. God, my parents. They stood there beaming, holding a gift bag and looking so proud of themselves for pulling off the surprise. My mom kept saying, "We were so worried, figure it out." I hugged them. I smiled. I blew out candles. I opened presents. And the entire time Emma's perfume was still on my clothes. "Seem distracted, honey," Sarah whispered during the party, running her fingers through my hair. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Just overwhelmed. This is incredible." "Thank," she my cheek. "Deserve the world, Marcus, I hope know that." The guilt hit me like a physical. I excused to the bathroom and stared at my reflection. The same face that had looked back at me in the hotel mirror 3 hours ago, except now it belonged to a liar. When I came back out, my dad was showing everyone photos on his phone. "We've been planning this for months," he said. "Sarah's been our inside source. We knew how much it would mean to him." Months. They'd been planning this for months. I'd spent years convinced they didn't care, and they'd been secretly coordinating with my girlfriend to make my birthday special. While I was in that hotel room, they were probably sitting at the gate, excited to see my face when they surprised me. The party ended around midnight. Everyone hugged me goodbye, telling me how lucky I was to have people who loved me this much. My parents were staying until Sunday, planning to spend the whole weekend catching. After Sarah and I cleaned, she pulled out one final gift. "This one's just from me," she said, eyes sparkling. Inside the box was a key. "I've been saving," she said quietly. "I put a down payment on a house, our house, if want it to be." I stared at the key, my hands trembling. "Sarah, I know we haven't talked about marriage yet," she rushed on, "but I love so much Marcus. I want to build a with. I want to grow old with. I heard to stop the words that were making everything worse. She melted into me, completely trusting, completely in love. That night, she fell asleep curled against my chest, whispering about paint colors and garden plans. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, drowning in the weight of what I'd done. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Tonight was amazing. Can't stop thinking about. When can I see it again? I deleted it immediately, but the damage was done. She wanted more. Of course she wanted more. That's how these things work, isn't it? One terrible choice becomes 10 terrible choices becomes a don't recognize. The next morning my parents made pancakes while Sarah ran out to get groceries for lunch. It was the kind of domestic scene I dreamed of as a kid, my parents in my kitchen, treating my home like family. We're proud of son, my dad said, flipping a pancake. The way Sarah talks about the man become. We know we haven't always been the best at showing it, but we've always seen. I nearly broke right there. Nearly confessed everything, begged for forgiveness, promised to fix it all. Instead I said, thanks dad, that means everything. My mom hugged me from behind. We'll love, Marcus, more than ever. No. The weekend was, every moment of genuine connection, every laugh, every I love. Felt like another nail in my coffin. I was sitting at the table with the 3 people who mattered most, and I was the only one who knew I'd already destroyed everything. Sunday came too fast. My parents' flight was at 6 p.m. This was the best birthday surprise ever. I told them at the airport, and I meant it. Thanks for coming. Wouldn't have missed it, Mom said. And Marcus, call us more often. We want to be part of Point. After they left, Sarah and I drove home in comfortable silence. She held my hand the whole way. Parents seem different. She said, happier. Like they're finally seeing what I see in Pine. Yeah, I managed. It feels good. Maybe we should visit them next month. I'd love to spend more time with them now that they're making an effort. I nodded, knowing that by next month, there might not be an us for them to spend time with. Monday morning arrived with 3 missed calls from Emma and a text that made my run cold. We need to talk, it's important. At work, she cornered me by the printer. I think I might be falling for, she said quietly. Friday night changed everything for me. I know felt it too. Emma, listen. I want to take this slow, she continued. I know with someone, but what we have is special, real. When are going to tell her? My stomach dropped. Tell her what? Emma looked confused. That it's over. That found something better. Friday was a mistake. I was emotional, vulnerable. It shouldn't have happened. Her face changed. The warmth vanished, replaced by something harder. A mistake, she repeated. That's what her calling it. I love Sarah. I'm planning to marry her. Friday was finally being honest about what want. Emma interrupted. Don't dare minimize what happened between us. People were starting to notice our heated whispers. I pulled her into a conference room. Please, I said. Can we just pretend it never happened? I made a terrible choice and I have to live with it, but I can't lose Sarah. Emma stared at me for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant smile. Really think it's that simple? Really think can just use me and throw me away? I wasn't using. And know what? Sarah deserves to know what kind of man she's planning a future with. The conference room felt like it was spinning. Emma, please, don't do this. Oh, I'm not gonna tell her, Emma said, gathering her things. I have until Friday. If don't, I will. She left me sitting there, the taste of my birthday cake still somehow lingering in my mouth, wondering how something that started with just wanting to feel loved had turned into that would destroy everything I actually loved. That night, Sarah showed me pictures of houses online, talking excitedly about the future she thought we were building together. I had 4 days to figure out how to tell the woman I loved that I'd betrayed her on the same day she gave me everything I'd ever wanted. 4 days to find the words that would end the best thing that had ever happened to me. 4 days to prepare for the moment when love feels heaviest, when real eyes are the one who made it impossible to carry. I lasted 3 days. 3 days of Sarah humming while she made coffee, talking about paint samples and mortgage rates. 3 days of her texting me random, I love, messages throughout the workday. 3 days of her falling asleep with her head on my shoulder while we watched house hunting shows. 3 days of dying inside every time she touched me. Wednesday night, she was sitting cross-legged on our bed with her laptop, showing me virtual tours of our potential future. Look at this kitchen, she said, eyes bright with excitement. I could make Sunday dinners here, parents could visit and we'd have space for everyone. I watched her plan our wall knowing I'd already ended it, and something inside me just broke. Sarah, I said quietly. And this bedroom gets morning light, which love, and there's room for a home office where could. Sarah, I need to tell something. Slooped, sensing the change in my tone, the laptop screen cast shadows across her face, making her look younger, more vulnerable. What is it? I opened my mouth and nothing came out. How to destroy someone's world with words. How to take the person who loves most and turn them into someone who can't stand the sight of. Marcus, are scaring me. On my birthday. I started then stopped. Started again. When we're planning the surprise when everyone was trying to call me. She closed the laptop, giving me her full attention. I was feeling really low. About my parents, about feeling forgotten. And I ran into Emma from work. Sarah's expression didn't change yet, but I saw her hands tighten slightly. We got coffee. Just coffee at first. But I was emotional, and she was being kind and my voice cracked. I made the worst mistake of the silent stretch between us. I watched understanding creep across her face like a slow. What kind of mistake? Sarah, I'm so sorry. What? Kind. A mistake. I told her everything. The timing. How I'd turned off my phone while she was picking my cake. How I'd walked into our home afterward and pretended to be surprised by the love that had been waiting for me all along. Sarah sat perfectly still through the entire confession, her face getting paler and paler till she looked like a ghost. When I finished, the silence was deafening. Then she started laughing, not happy laughter. The kind that comes right before completely fall apart. Her telling me, she said between gasps, that while I was running around town, coordinating with parents, picking cake, making sure everything was perfect for the man I love, we're in a hotel room with another woman. Sarah. Oh God, parents. She pressed her hands to her face. They called me 6 times that day asking if we're okay, if figured out the surprise they were so worried about, and were. She couldn't finish the sentence. She ran to the bathroom and I heard her being sick. When she came back her eyes were red but dry. She'd moved past tears into something harder. Get out, she said simply. Sarah, please, we can work through this. I love so much. Her voice was like ice. Don't dare say love me after what just told me. But I do love more than anything. That's why I had to tell. Told me because Emma gave an ultimatum. Sarah's laugh was hollow. Did really think I wouldn't figure that out, or not brave enough to confess out of guilt. Someone forced hand. She was right. Of course she was right. I want gone by morning, she continued. Take things and go. Don't contact me. Don't show it my work. Don't send friends to check on me. Just disappear from my completely. What about the house? The future we planned? There is no future. She picked the key she'd given me and dropped it in the trash. There never was, apparently. I was just too to see it. I spent that night on my couch, listening to her pack my things in boxes and leave them by the door. Every thump from upstairs felt like another nail in my coffin. At 3 a.m. my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. Talk to Sarah about Thanksgiving plans, she's such a treasure. When are going to marry that girl? I stared at the message until my eyes blurred. Then I turned off my phone and didn't turn it back on for 3 days. By Friday, word had gotten around the office. Emma had kept her promise not to tell Sarah directly, but she'd made sure everyone else knew. The whispers followed me everywhere. Pitying looks. Disgusted looks. The kind of social that comes when become the cautionary tale everyone tells their friends. My work suffered. My friends stopped calling. My parents left increasingly worried voicemails that I couldn't bear to return. 2 weeks later, I finally called my mom back. Marcus, oh honey, we've been so worried. Sarah said too we're taking some time apart, but she wouldn't say why and she looked so sad. Mom, I interrupted. Sarah and I aren't taking time apart. We're done forever. And it's my fault. The silence on the other end was deafening. What to do? She asked quietly. I told her. Not the details but enough. Enough for her to understand that her son, the one she'd flown across the country to surprise, the one she'd finally decided to show love to, had thrown it all away for nothing. Oh Marcus, she whispered. How could? I don't know. I said, and it was the truth. I don't know. Sarah was mom's voice broke. She was gonna call us next week. About engagement rings. She wanted to know what kind of stone like, what grandmother's ring looked like. The floor dropped out from under me. She was planning to propose to for Christmas. She's been saving for months, working overtime, planning this elaborate surprise. I hung the phone and didn't stop crying for an hour. 6 months later, I see Sarah at the grocery store. She's with someone new, a guy who looks at her the way I used to look at her, the way she deserves to be looked at. She's laughing at something he said and she looks happy, really happy. She sees me across the produce section and her smile dies. For just a moment, I see pain flash across her face, then she turns away, takes her new guy's hand and walks in the other direction. I stand there holding a bag of apples, realizing that I will never stop being the person who her. In her story, I will always be the villain. In her new relationship, I will always be the cautionary tale, the reason she's careful, the reason she doesn't trust completely right away. Emma quit her job and moved to another city. Before she left she sent me one final text. I hope it was worth it. It wasn't. My parents still call, but the conversations are stilted now. They're polite, loving even, but there's a distance that wasn't there before. They finally saw me, really saw me, and what they saw was someone who destroys good things. I live alone now in a studio apartment across town. I work, I come home, I sleep. On weekends, I sometimes drive by the house Sarah I was gonna imagine that I could have had. Last month was my 33rd birthday. My parents called right on time, sang happy birthday, told me they loved me. It should have felt like everything I'd always wanted. Instead, it felt like the cruelest joke in the world. Because now I know the truth that will haunt me forever. Love doesn't feel heaviest when the people crave it from forget exist. Love feels heaviest when realize had it all along, and were the one who destroyed it while desperately searching for something already possessed.